The QLZ Green Room, your backstage access to everybody in our lives. I am Mo Lightning, host of the Third String Morning Show. Your comments, your questions, all of that very much welcome here during the live stream. If you are watching on demand after the fact, you can still leave your comments and you can probably still leave your questions too, but I don't know if we're going to have our guest answer them because, well, he won't be live. Our guest is a part of a very mysterious act. You're hearing some of their music on QLZ and have been for the last month or so. He is Mike from the band The Violent. And Mike, first and foremost, how are you today, sir?
I'm great, man. I'm great. We got some good weather here in Chicago, and I'm just stuck inside, quarantining.
Yeah, especially in Chicago too. Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You go out of the house. You're, let's not dwell. Let's not dwell on that. I will say that some people have heard your song, have heard The Violent, and said, wow, this guy kind of sounds like that Red Sun Rising guy. And I don't think that's fair to you. That guy sucked. You were much cooler than him.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, that guy's been ripping me off for years.
Yeah. But you're moving forward with The Violent. If people aren't familiar with The Violent, how do you describe the band? How do you describe your music?
We only got the one song out right now, Fly on the Wall, but it started out as kind of almost like a side project when we were in Red Sun Rising, because it's two of the other guys from Red Sun Rising. But when Red Sun Rising kind of came to an end, it kind of became the main focus, and it's just been a lot of fun to re-explore music in a different way. It's just a three-piece. We all play multiple instruments, so it's not like the typical rock band where you're just like bass, drums, guitar. Everyone's kind of switching around and doing different things, which makes the songwriting and the jamming a lot of fun.
Oh, I imagine that's a completely different creative process, because before maybe you, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you were just kind of thinking of the vocals and how it's all going to fit together. But now you're probably thinking of that while also thinking about, okay, the guitar could work here, the drums could work here. Is your approach different?
Yeah, I mean, I still write songs the same way I kind of always have, just on acoustic guitar or piano. But, because of the quarantine, I've made a lot of investments in home recording equipment, and I've always gone to a studio to record, but being able to record myself at home and explore those options more has just really opened up another world for me. So I don't necessarily think now when I'm thinking of a song, just, hey, here's the chords. I'm thinking like, what kind of how can I be more creative with this? A lot more electronic stuff that I've been experimenting with, more in like a kind of a Muse or Nine Inch Nails way, not necessarily like dance or EDM, but it's a whole nother world that, Red Sun Rising was always just purely organic, and I still love and appreciate that too. But I'm just having a lot of fun with it.
Thanks for clarifying that it's more like Muse and Nine Inch Nails and not like that Eiffel 65, like that
no.
song. That's good. and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's an old reference.
I don't know too many of the new guys. I'm going to be honest with you.
Right.
If anybody's got some new EDM people for me to check out, please.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a little dated on that one there. But then if you were EDM, it would be to me weird that you're called The Violent. It doesn't seem like a dance sort of band name.
Yeah, and the genesis of the band name, honestly, someone pointed out to me, because I did a lot of the songwriting for Red Sun Rising. I'm doing mostly the songwriting for The Violent. And, someone was like, you're a pretty happy guy, but your lyrics are really dark. And I kind of came to the realization that I kind of get out a lot of my violent thoughts, if you will, through music and art. And I kind of need that outlet to be, be positive and be optimistic. And I don't know what would happen if I let those feelings just stay inside and manifest. So The Violent is kind of a representation of releasing those sorts of darker thoughts.
And that's good for your sanity. It's good for your mental health to be able to balance it out. If you could channel it through the music, probably better than channeling it through the dance floor or violence.
Yeah. Sometimes I just love the dance, man. Just go dance.
And there's nothing wrong with a good beat. I love a good hook, good melody in the rock music or whatnot. But does that mean people expect heavier music? I mean, with the name The Violent, I would almost expect like a metal act, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's just like, you hear names like that, and and I almost kind of like the fact that it's not super heavy. I kind of like the fact that it's a little more cerebral of a meaning than just like, violence and violent. It's more about the violent ideas, like I said. And I like that, juxtaposition of like a really dark name with not so dark of a sound. But the violent, as you can see from this first song, it is darker. It's not heavy metal by any means. It's a little more rhythmic.
Sure.
But I love melody, and like Tom Waits said, this is one of my favorite quotes ever in music. I love beautiful melodies telling me terrible things, and that's just kind of always stuck with me. And when I write songs, even if the melody does sound, brighter and happy, if you listen to the lyrics, it's usually pretty dark.
I love that. That is a great quote. I'd never heard that one before, but I do absolutely love that. You talked about recording at home and whatnot. We actually have a user question from Jared wanting to know: are you using actual plugins, or are you using plugins or actual amps for your recording?
It depends. If I'm doing like home demos, which when I'm just doing like a songwriting session, I just use Logic. And the sounds inside Logic. When I'm doing recordings for the actual record, my producer is actually in Nashville, and we share Pro Tools sessions. So I basically will play it through my Pro Tools and send it to him, and then he reamps it. So it's still my performance. It's just being reamped through his amps in his studio. So it's kind of a process that we've had to do due to the isolation and the quarantine.
Now, I do want to talk about life in the quarantine here in a moment, but real quick, back to the name The Violent. How is that available? Of all the names you think a band would have taken by now, how is The Violent still available?
I'll let you in on something. We actually were going to call it The Violent Tongues, and it was very sexual. But
Yeah, I'm
but
glad
we're
I'm
like,
sitting down right now.
yeah, yeah. But we thought it was just like the tongues part of it was just a little too artsy, and we might lose some people. But then when we were just messing around typing in The Violent, we're like, no one really has this. There's some small random bands that you know that just aren't really putting out any music, and it's just kind of sitting there. No one really verified or doing it professionally. So we're like, let's do it. Here we are.
That's awesome. And again, I'm flabbergasted that nobody else
We
is
couldn't believe it either, honestly.
but hey, more power to you. That's awesome. Now, when you left Red Sun Rising, you started doing the Violent thing. When did that happen? Like, when was that first thought in your mind of, hey, it's time to do something different?
After the second record, I think a lot of the guys just kind of wanted to started doing, different things, and they wanted different, a different creative process. And um, which is hard for me because I do a lot of the writing, and if I want to put in my lyrics and my melodies into a song, I really want to at least explore my idea to the fullest. And when you have guys that are creative, super creative, when you have them all in a room at once, it's kind of like it's almost counterintuitive to get anything done, because it's like, okay, we'll try this, try this, try this, where you almost need to back it off and just kind of let someone express their full idea and then contribute on that. And that's the way it used to be. And it's just kind of, I always use the analogy of if people meet somebody, and they start dating, and they like, you know what? I want to spend the rest of my life with this person. This person is perfect. I want to marry you. And then 10 years down the road, you get divorced. And that happens in relationships, and it certainly happens in bands and in businesses. And, that sort of things happen. So when that feeling started to arise, two of the other guys in the band that, Pat and Dave, that I've always just been really close to, we were kind of like, let's just for fun start, working on some of your songs, Mike. Let's see what we can do. And it ended up being the main focus, like I said. And I don't know if it was like the Pygmalion effect, which is that, psychiatric study that if you focus on something or want something to happen, your mind and your actions subconsciously start to make that thing happen in reality. So I don't know if that was part of it or what, but we're super excited, and we're obviously extremely proud of everything we did with Red Sun Rising forever. But it feels fresh.
Yeah, when you guys made the announcement of the indefinite hiatus, I was on the air and I was freaking out. No, how dare! But I'm happy to see that you're happy moving forward. Obviously, making the best of 2020 and the quarantine and everything going on. Is it frustrating knowing that you have this project, you want to get the music out to everybody, but then the world is shut down right now, and concerts, unless you're doing it online via stream right now, it's not happening?
Yeah, and that's the hardest part. Absolutely, is the playing and just being around people and being in front of people and feeling that connection. So we're just really trying to focus on the recording process as much as possible and preparing for the worst. We don't know when we're gonna play a show again, but we're obviously hoping for the best and just trying to make a positive time out of this and get as much music done as we can, because at this point you have no excuse. So when the quarantine happened, when we were first started to record, we did go down to Nashville for 2 sessions, and then the quarantine happened. We're like, well, shit, what do we do now? And we built that infrastructure, like I said, made some investments for us to all have kind of home recording, started sharing sessions online with our producer. And it was kind of like fuel on the fire, though, because now we're like, well, now we can work on this every day at home. So now there's no excuse whatsoever. So it really accelerated the songwriting for sure.
And I love that you brought that up, because I've been trying to look at the bright side as much as possible. As a broadcaster, as a radio personality, it's our job not just to inform people, but to hopefully entertain. And for me in the Third String Morning Show, I try to escapism. I promote escapism. And I've been trying to find that silver lining here this year. And the silver lining I've been mentioning the whole time is the music. Even though we can't go to concerts, we can't experience them live and have overpriced beer and smelly people next to us in the pit, we still got new music. There's so much new music being created right now that's starting to be released right now. I can only imagine what the second half of this year and beginning of 2021 is going to sound like, especially for rock. I mean, as a rock fan, I'm excited for the future of music.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I think some things will stay, like some of this live stream stuff like we're doing right now. I don't know if you guys used to do this, but I've done quite a few of these, and these are cool. And I think that these can still remain once everything comes back. I think there's some tech advances that has happened, forcing people to do things at home that will remain, but nothing's going to replace like the connection with people. And it shows it shows how frustrated people are being isolated, that they want to be around people. They want to see their friends. They want to see, they just want to be social, and we're social beings. We're not supposed to be, isolated. But you're right. Like, I think in 6 months, we're going to see a lot of, it's like a baby boomers for art.
Yeah, very much so. Again, sucks that we don't have the concerts, but we have these streams. Like you said, we weren't doing this before 2020 rolled around. Not that we didn't want to, but even some old school record reps, they were like, well, why are you doing video? You're a radio station. And this I guess kind of forced us to update. It forced the whole world to update. Yeah. And I'm okay with that. I love these chats that you can be in Chicago doing this. You don't have to worry about your phone cutting out and the horrible audio quality. And you can keep in touch with your bandmates, even though there is a quarantine and there is isolation. We're talking to Mike from The Violent, Pat and Dave also in the band. Where are those guys at?
Pat's actually up in Sarasota, New York.
Okay.
And then Dave is in just outside of like Buffalo area in Bradford, PA.
Okay.
So so we're making it work. Three different states.
Now I have to ask, because a lot of times, I mean, you're on the road, you're living with these people. These guys are more than friends. They are family at this point. maybe it's a good thing to get a little bit of a break from them in person. Because, you know, if you're around even your loved ones too much, they can get on your nerves a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's, you know, we talk about it almost every time we get on the phone or on a session. We're like, man, I just can't wait to just sit down and like have a beer with you, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those little things. But it'll, you know, it'll come back. I have faith that it'll all come back, and it's just gonna take some time.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So there's probably going to be a lot of people appreciating things they didn't appreciate before. Not saying you and the band, but just in general.
Totally.
With that said, you and I both from the Ohio area originally. You're from Akron. I lived in Akron, Ohio for a bit. Do you miss? Is your heart grown fond of Akron, or you like me and you're kind of like, I'm okay, never returning?
I mean, I still have a lot of family there, and that's what really, you know, gives me the greatest feelings about Akron when I go home and just get to see my family but yeah, just like anywhere else, that's not your home. I mean, that's always where I've been from, but I've lived here for almost 5 years now. And, you know, I have my friends here and I have the things I do and my routines and Chicago is finally starting to feel like home, not just where I live. And, so yeah, of course, when I go visit my family after a few days, you're like, all right, I'm ready to go home.
I get that. I'm from a small fishing town. I don't know if you would know that, Port Clinton, Ohio.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know where that is.
We're putting.
I've gone fishing up there, actually. Yeah.
Yep. And then Cedar Point. If anybody's familiar with Cedar Point, the amusement park, I was the next door neighbors. I was the parking lot for Cedar Point there. So I get that. Visit the family when I can, and a couple days is enough time to go back to the swing of things. So what's next for you then? You're making music. Let's say hypothetically, 2021 things start opening up. You hitting the road right away? You taking some time? What's the plan?
I think the second half of this year is really going to tell that. Obviously, we're just itching to play a show, so we want to play a show, but we also want to play a show when we're ready. And we only have one song out, which we're working on changing that. We have a lot of songs that are getting finished up now. And I'm sure you'll see something maybe in early to mid August. You'll see some more music.
Nice.
We're getting really close. But yeah, I think we're just, you know, it's fun again. You know, we're independent by choice right now, which has been awesome because there's no like label agenda, which is a good thing and a bad thing because there's no deadline. So when there's no deadline and no one telling you need to get this done, you know, songs get reworked 5 times because you're like, is it done? Oh, maybe we could do this. Or maybe sometimes having too much time in your hand is a bad thing with art. But yeah, we're just really enjoying it and just having fun making music.
That's awesome. Looking forward to hearing everything else you're putting out. And again, you're channeling some of the anger and frustration out through this music. If we hear a happy, violent song, should we get you help?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. The Violent, still a pretty cryptic band overall. Are you guys on social yet? It's hard finding you.
Yes. We're not verified or anything, so you just got to go find us. It's usually at The Violent Music on pretty much, you know, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Excellent. Well, QLZ is going to give a follow right now. Mike, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the music that you've made in the past and continue to make now. And good luck to you. Stay healthy. And we're going to talk to you soon, my friend.
Thanks, man. Thanks for all the support.
Always.